miraculous event. It's an absolute miracle that so many of the cousins could get together here. There are 20 of them, and 13 of them are here, a 65% turnout. Now, these events normally, with cousins from way back then, you get a 20-25% turnout. We're on 65%. So that is absolutely special. There are 3 that are deceased, 4 others, for personal reasons, are not here. Sonia, Zandre, and 1 or 2 others. But we're here, and that's amazing. I just want to say, I'm really impressed about the effort that's been put into making this happen. Especially Philip, you coming out here from Australia, that is something quite neat. And then Daphne coming down here, it's something very, very special. Now, there's a very good reason why there's so many of us here. A very good reason. And that is that there's more to this than meets the eye. A lot more. This is not just coincidental that you guys are here. And I'm just going to elaborate on that very briefly. At the first level, this is what we see. This is what we hoped for, expected, the faces that will all become more wrinkled, the hair that is gone, the Finkelstein books that have become. That's seeing each other and meeting up again, that's what it's all about. So that's level 1. That's the icing on the cake. Just one level down from the icing is the phase of life we're in. We're all round about in our 70s, late 60s, mid 70s, early 60s with Rodney over there. And I must just say, it's wonderful, Rodney, that you can make it. This is 40 years since he had any contact with the family. 50 years since I've seen him. So big applause for Rodney. Coming down. For those who don't know, Rodney is the youngest sibling of Gracie and Donald. Middle one. And it's so wonderful to have you here. So it's the phase of our life where we look back and we figure out who are the people that played a role, what were the inputs that made us who we are. All the family intelligence, their drive, their motivation rubbed off on us. And at this stage of your life, there is a desire to go and revisit the places, those people who really made a difference in your life. Those inputs, believe me, played out themselves throughout our lives. That's level 2. Level 3 is a very, very important one. A very important one. All of us, especially the Finkelsteins, came into life with this Jewish surname, and very quickly we had to figure out what is our origins, where's this Jewish surname come from. At school, we were placed in Afrikaans schools. My mother was an Afrikaner, and there, if you worshipped on the Saturday, which my mother was a Seventh-day Adventist, you're Jewish. If you're circumcised, you're Jewish. In the showers, they would look, your nickname was Akkerkoppie and all kinds of stuff, like acorn head. And then thirdly, with the surname Finkelstein, there's no way that you convince anybody, your friends, the teachers, that you weren't Jewish. So we encountered in our world a great deal of anti-Semitism. People regarded you as a Jew. We gave up on trying to persuade them that we're not. So I was in the military parade once, standing while I was in the army. Sergeant Major went to the OC, came back and came to me and said, we want you to leave the parade. I said, what? No, they're going to pray to Jesus here, and you're a Jew, so you go. So that is what we encountered all our lives, is Jewishness. So the third level then is our grandfather. Where did he come from? What was he all about? How did he arrive here? And the bottom line is this. we know just about nothing. We know just about nothing. What we know is hearsay. That as a child he arrived here on a ship, that his family knew the captain of the ship, and he arrived here under custody and then went into certain families. We don't even know whether he was adopted or not, whether he came under another surname but adopted by some Finkelsteins. We know very, very little. He had no documentation, no papers. For all practical purposes, he was an illegal immigrant. And he became aware of that, and he knew it, and he went under the radar. He didn't want people to know too much about his Judaism. He grew up in a Jewish community in Eisner. He spoke Yiddish. Not one of the family, not one of his children knew that he spoke Yiddish. You know, my father didn't know that he could speak Yiddish, yet there's first-hand accounts of him meeting Jack Finkelstein, the father of Nate, who was going to be here, and speaking fluent Jewish to him. My dad said one day they went to Mossel Bay, drove with the car, stopped there. My dad said, "What are we doing here?" He said he's got to look up an old family member. They went to the door, they knocked, and this lady stood there astounded, and she just hugged him and started crying. And she said, "Filippo, Filippo, Filippo." She knew him very, very close. So he had close connections with people in Eisner. Exactly what those connections are, family, not, we don't know. There were no papers. So I recently came across a birth certificate. I always believed there is no birth certificate, but there was one. And this is it. It's a birth certificate signed in 1932. And some interesting things on this birth certificate. He gave his date as 1915. We know it was 1895. He gave his mother's name as Davina van Vuren. He gave his address in Uitenhage, that's what we've got here. And he gave his occupation as a trader. That he was a trader, written down here in his handwriting, which he really seemed to have been. He's left school at a young age. There were a couple of genes that came with him. One is cardiovascular heart disease. How many of you have stents or medication for heart disease? For heart? Yeah, there are a couple of us. So we got that, but we also got this dyslexic gene. In those days, you were regarded as dumb. And he left school at a very young age because being labeled as stupid. Meantime, he had a serious dyslexia problem. It's followed through. Two of my children inherited the same gene. No, one of my children. There's Ross. Standard 2, he can't read, he turns the letters around, everything. I thought, oh, Grandpa, what have you given? Ross went for remedial help. Today he's doing his PhD at Grahamstown. Yeah? Big hand to Ross. My brother's little daughter, Zandre's, same thing, dyslexia. Getting remedial help, overcomes it, and that's amazing. If only in my grandfather's day that kind of help was available. He was bright, he was shrewd, he had a business acumen second to none. He was in fact a trader. So this is the birth certificate issued Uitenhage, registered Pretoria, 1932. It's the closest I've ever come to his birth certificate. Although, as I say, the information is suspect on there.
Ryan,
Yes.
can you maybe pick up your conversation back at the house at the after party, because Nate has just arrived.
I just want to finish. I've got a few things to go.
And then
Nate, welcome. We're glad to have you here. So, that is the third layer. Our grandfather, who is he? He came into our lives, and what we knew was a loving, caring grandfather. He would call you Chucky boy, and if he really liked you, take him into the bedroom. And you open this box of coins, Russian coins. You'd sit there, he'd allow you to touch them, and it's as if he became childlike. It took him back to his early origins. And he would just smile as you sat there playing with these coins. Then abruptly, box would close, coins would be put away. It was as if he shared something from his distant past, from Russia. There it is. The details you could never quite get from him. He was cagey. I always in later in my life thought it's because he was an illegal immigrant. He had to keep it quiet. I thought that it was too painful for him to go back to that era. For a child 6 to come here is traumatic. It's a very traumatic thing. So to revisit it, to talk about, you almost don't want to. And the Jewish community was secretive. Nate will tell you about it. They didn't talk about the past. They really just kept it quiet. So that's our grandfather. He was very special to us. And you knew that he loved you. You knew that he cared. There's a photo picture I want to show you. If you just bring that big picture. All those pictures up. Quickly want to show you.
Hi.
This is where our